Hey guys, welcome to another video from Historic Militaria. Today we're looking at a gun that I can really only describe as a parts cleanup gun from Mauser. This is an all-factory gun, and it is a large ring hammer, so it's a pretty early gun. The serial number puts it right about 1899, right around the time of the Italian Navy Flatside contract. But it's got a lot of features on it that really shouldn't exist for this time. And we'll take a look at those and kind of think of some theories of what might have been going on to make it look the way it does. But so first things first, it is in 30 Mauser, so 7.63 by 25, standard caliber. One thing that immediately jumps out is that this is a sort of fine target sight that you will see on some guns, especially VLD guns, which were brought into America. This one is not marked VLD, and I don't think it was a VLD gun, but it does have that fine front sight. And I do believe that is a factory sort of option that was done on some, because the other ones I've seen that have this are exact, and it would be awfully coincidental that a number of guns had the exact same front sight put on like that. Looking at the rest of the gun, it is a straight up Conehammer body. The milling is Conehammer. This is a Conehammer type trigger with very much that wide Conehammer internals and everything. This is not a regular later type trigger that you'll see on guns. Everything else is milled the same way that a Conehammer would be. Your safety is a typical early large ring hammer or Conehammer trigger, which is, this is going to be in safe when it is pulled down. So it is pulled down right now, and up would be to fire. So which is the opposite of later Mauser safeties. And also, kind of difficult to remember in the heat of combat, where you got to be up puts you in fire, down puts you in safe. Also, this gun is interesting because the serial numbers don't appear on top of the bolt like most of them. This one is actually serialed on the bolt itself by the firing pin, and you can see that right there. And that's a very Conehammer thing to do as well. And then the other side is just typical Conehammer body. And it just seems like Mauser was using up the last of their Conehammer frames when they made this gun. And the sight is a 1 to 10 sight, which is pretty much standard for Conehammers. All had this. Most of the large ring hammers had a 1 to 1,000 sight, or maybe even a 50 to 500 sight. So this sight is very typical of what you'd see on a Conehammer. So it seems like a part that was lying around that Mauser was using up. Of course, this uses the early long extractor. Your chamber markings are what you would expect. This one has the Ulm antler proof mark right there, and also your standard Crown U proof mark right there. If we can actually get this to focus, there we go. And your serial number is in the 20,000, almost 21,000. These guns really, at this point in the 20,000s, are generally accepted to have been flat sides. Mauser had gone to the flat unmilled sides for about 10,000 guns, and they had done that after the Italian Navy flat sides, where they made 5,000 guns for the Italian Navy that were flat sides in 1899, where all this milling was just left flat. And then they continued to do that till about serial number 30,000 for their commercial guns. So they made about 10,000 more flat sides for the commercial market. Why they went to the flat side, I have no real idea. I've never heard a reason why, but the Italian Navy Flatsides actually occupied what would have been between serial number 15 and 20,000. So guns numbered 15 to 20,000 were never made, but guns numbered 1 to 5,000 were made in their own serial number range for the Italian Flatside contract. That was typical Mauser, made no real sense, but Mauser liked to do that. As you can see, this has got all the other hallmarks of what you would expect from a gun at that time. Just your random little markings underneath the barrel. This one doesn't really have anything else amazing, except the grips are a little bit interesting, and these definitely look like they were possibly custom checkered, and that may well be the case. The only reason I'm a little bit unsure of that is because I actually have seen other broom handles from the same time period with this same exact checkering pattern on them. Now, whether that was factory or whether this was done by maybe even a retailer of these, because it is a pretty good job, I'm not really sure. I wouldn't go so far as to say this is factory. I wouldn't go so far as to say it was done by somebody individually, because I don't think that's the case. But who did it is a little bit of a mystery, but they are interesting and an interesting pattern on the grips, especially since you can see that these originally were serrated as well. So they've been checkered over the original serrations. And whenever it was done, it was definitely a long time ago, and they've seen some use since then. But this gun has been well taken care of, has not been used much, and it's just a very nice example of a really just how Mauser would use up all the parts they had of their guns to make sure that everything got used and nothing got wasted. And this is just a really interesting example of a gun made on a Conehammer frame with a large ring hammer at a time when it should have been a Flatside. So just one of those strange transitional guns that Mauser would put out from time to time. And not a lot of these are floating around, so I thought you'd enjoy taking a look at this. If you know anything about these, or if you have one from the same serial number range that is like this, I'd love to hear about it. And as always, if you've got any questions, drop them in the comments. And even if you don't have a question, drop it in the comments. And remember to like and subscribe. And we'll be doing more videos on helmets, firearms, broom handles, of course, and pretty much everything in between. And thank you again for watching. I do appreciate everybody who looks.